Welcome to Pioneer Connection, where you are going to learn how to learn about and connect to your pioneer ancestors. Now, just to start out, I know that not everyone has Mormon pioneer ancestors, but you probably have some ancestors in your family tree that have been a little more heavily researched. Maybe there's someone that you might consider a pioneer. Maybe they are immigrants, someone that helped pave the way for you in your life. Sometimes these are people in our family tree that are a little bit neglected when we are trying to build our tree more and learn more about who our ancestors are. Those ones that have already been heavily researched, that are already done, maybe we don't really look at them very often. And I know that for me, when I research my ancestors, that's when I really connect to them. That's when I learn about them and connect to them as real people. So I created this little class as kind of an inspiration, not just for you, but for myself. So if you are feeling like you want to connect more to your ancestors, maybe those direct line ancestors that they've already had their work all done, they're already all researched, but you want to feel a greater connection to them, that's what this class is all about. So week 1, we are going to work on choosing what ancestor you're going to learn about, and then seeing how we can learn about their life prior to adulthood. Okay, who their parents were, where they were born, stuff about that. So I'm going to show you how I'm doing that with my own pioneer ancestor, and then you can just apply this as you are looking at your chosen ancestor that you have decided to focus on for this month. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so I'm in Family Search, and I'm just going to go to my family tree and find my pioneer ancestors. Okay, so my grandfather's line is pioneer ancestry, so that's where I'm going to go to look at what pioneer ancestor I want to choose. So I have already looked through and kind of found out if they were pioneers, if they were just maybe descendants of pioneers, or where they actually started. So when you go back in your family tree, looking at when they were born, that can help you to know if they were pioneers, or seeing where they were born. So this Orson Hall, he was born in Utah, so you know that his parents were probably, right, from Norway when he was baptized in 1850-ish. Okay, so I have already looked through and found a pioneer that I want to choose, but I'm going to show you a way that you can see who your pioneer ancestors are. Okay, so these are all pioneer ancestors. You can look at them if you just click on their name, you can see where they were born, and then you can see where they died. If they died in Utah, they were likely pioneers. Okay, not all the time, but likely that was so if it was from this time period. Okay, so I'm actually going to choose this Nancy Naomi Alexander. She was born in upstate New York, and she died in Utah. So you can see she was born in 1816, so I'm about an adult when she was a pioneer. Okay, the church was formed in 1830 is when it was officially started, and so we know that it would have been close to adulthood when that happened. Okay, but you can choose someone who was a child as a pioneer. You can choose someone who was older, whatever. Just just look through your ancestors that you are Mormon pioneers and choose one. Again, if you don't have Mormon pioneer ancestors, you'd want to choose someone in your family tree that's already been heavily researched, probably someone born in the mid-1800s, maybe late 1800s even, someone that this isn't learning about how to research them at all. We are just learning how to connect to them and maybe ask ourselves some different questions and thinking about them differently than just looking at their names and dates. Okay, so that is who I'm going to choose, but I'm going to show you another way where you can find your pioneer ancestors if you just want kind of a list of them. Okay, so when you're on the family tree homepage, you can go to activities and then just click on all activities. And if you scroll all the way down, you can click on My Pioneer Ancestors to see if any of your ancestors crossed the plains as Mormon pioneers. Okay, so it shows pictures of them. It says what company they traveled in, where they traveled from, and gives you some information about them. So it just gives where they departed, like kind of for that last leg from there to the Salt Lake Valley. Okay. Some of my pioneers, they started, further east, even in New York or in Missouri. Okay, but this just gives their last departure into the Salt Lake Valley. Okay, so you can just browse. If you don't even have Mormon pioneers at all, that's probably the norm. I would say most people do not have Mormon pioneer ancestry. You can just look at your family tree, and maybe you want to do a fan chart. Might be a little easier to see them all at once. And you can, here, let's zoom. And you'd probably want to pick someone that's kind of in this generation, 1850s, about someone that has quite a few sources. They have already been pretty researched. So this is my father's line. His parents were converts to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so none of these people are pioneer ancestors. But this Isaac Sanford Fries, I would consider him one of my pioneer ancestors. He immigrated from, well, he was born in New Brunswick, but he traveled to Alberta. Was a very new area to settle, and brought his family here, and now I live in Alberta as well. So I would consider him one of my pioneer ancestors too. He's been pretty heavily researched. He has lots of memories, lots of sources, and I can go ahead and try to connect to him than just looking for records. Okay, so that is your first assignment for this week, is to choose an ancestor to learn about this month. So I'm going to go back to that person that I chose. And now our next assignment is just to learn about them, what life was like, where they were born, what things happened, what events happened before they reached adulthood. First, if you get the worksheet that you can download and print, if you just go to moderngenealogy.ca/pioneer, you can sign up to get that. But if you go there, you can print that off, and there's a worksheet that tells you your assignment and then a place for you to kind of fill in information about them. So we'll put in her name, and you can put in her family search ID number if you want to keep track of that, just by her name. So you have her birth date. She was born 14th of May, 1816 in Henderson, Jefferson, New York. So something that I always like to do when I find locations for my ancestors is just to look it up on Google Maps, just to see exactly where it is. You can see where it is in reference to other locations. Okay, I know that she at some point joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I might be curious how far it was where she lived from, say, where Joseph Smith lived and received the plates. So let's just choose directions here and just look at Palmyra, New York. Okay, so it's about 100 miles from there. Okay, so we're going to learn more as we go along about where she ended up and how she learned about the church, but just for now, we're just learning about where she was born. Okay, so that's where she was born. And now we're going to learn also about her family, about her parents. Okay, so if we just scroll down, we can see her father was Aaron Alexander. He was kind of young. He was only 33 when he died. Her mother was Betsy Jones. They had 6 children are listed here. And if we click on her mom, so she was still alive after, let's see if maybe she remarried after her first husband passed away. Let's just look down. So that's her with her first husband, married Richard Plumley in 1834. So my ancestor would have been almost 20, about 18. Okay, so that kind of just gives you a bit of an idea of what her family life would have been like. Okay, her father died when she was quite young. Her mother of young children. The oldest was only 6 years old. So maybe what would things have been like for them in that time period, in that location? Parents' occupations were, there's a place to write that. These were kind of before the census's recorded occupations. He died in 1820, so there's not that in there. But sometimes in the memories here about them, we'll find some more information about them. and we'll go to that in a minute. We actually have a diary of hers, which will give me a lot of information, but you might not be as lucky. Okay, so other things we can find out just based off of this information here. We can see if the family moved. So you can see where the oldest child was also born in Henderson. Then mine was there. This Martha, born in New York. It doesn't say her death date. And we also have this Albert, and then Elmina in Henderson. So it looks like the family stayed put during this time period when she was a young child. But we can learn more about her through that diary. But like I said, you might not have, like I do. Okay, but you might have other memories. Look, she has quite a few memories there. So we can kind of just look through the memories and see what information is there from her childhood, okay? It might take a while to kind of sort through those, so you can do as much as you would like. If you just want to stop with that, finding out her siblings, where she was born, kind of the ages of things that happened, you can stop there for the week. Or if you want to dive in deeper and take a look at their memories and see what information you can find about their childhood. So I'm just going to show you the example for her. We have her diary, so it's not actually her like daily diary. I'll show you as we look at it, but it is kind of a history of her that she wrote when she was older. Okay, but it is pretty neat. Okay, so it says it's a sketch of the life of Nancy Naomi Alexander Tracy, which she wrote when she was 69 years old. Okay, so if I go through there, she starts about when she was born. Okay, her father died when she was 4, left her mother in comfortable circumstances with a small farm and a home, had 4 young children, 2 boys and 2 girls. Okay, so that's the thing. That's already different than what was in her information. So more was likely found later. Maybe some children died. It says that there was 4 children, but we have that there was 6. So there might be some discrepancies there that might need a little more research. Anyway, so that tells a little bit about what her childhood was like. Something interesting here, her father died and they had a farm, so he was a farmer. The mother felt that she couldn't take care of the farm, so she let a man have it who promised to pay her, but he did not ever pay her. So then she's left quite destitute, forced to put out her 3 oldest children. So she ended up living with her grandparents. Okay, so you might get lucky and have some biographies and things like that where you can learn about them, but I would just write some of this information in the space that I provided on the worksheet. Just some different facts and interesting things about them that kind of help you understand them a little bit better. Okay, so for this lesson, you are just going to choose your pioneer ancestor that you want to learn about and start learning about what life was like for them prior to adulthood. So you can use this worksheet, you can fill information in there, put any interesting facts down here that will help you connect to them, but just have fun with it. You don't have to do everything, just do a little bit. This is a great way to help your own family connect with these pioneer ancestors. Help them maybe Sunday afternoon or for a family home evening. This would be a great thing to do for July to connect with your pioneer ancestors, especially as part of Pioneer Day on July 24th. All right, so have fun with it, and we will see you at the next lesson.